Okay. Sarah, when you get a chance, take a look and let us know what you see on LinkedIn. If we're here.
Yep. We are still loading.
Okay, we're loading. That's fine. Ryan, there's something at the bottom called private chat.
All right. I see we're up on Facebook, on both of our Facebook pages.
Wonderful.
And we're up on LinkedIn.
So Ryan, if you don't mind, I'll just start with a little welcome question to everyone, which is just asking folks to hop into the chat on the social media tool that they're on the platform they're on, and just tell us where they are joining us from, and to tell us what strength they are using today, or what strength they're going to lean into during this conversation with Dr. Ryan Niemiec. Let's see. So Sarah, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that the chat is basically just the comment tool. Hello from Romania. That's exciting.
Correct.
So we're just inviting folks to hop into the comment tool. If you're on Facebook, Ocean Grove, New Jersey, and gratitude, and thank you for hosting. Golly, I wonder if that's someone I know in Ocean Grove. Ryan, so I am so excited that you made time for this. We asked you truly at the last minute if you would come and share the wisdom that you've developed in this amazing program, Mindfulness-Based Strengths Practice, with our audience today at lunchtime, so that everyone could just kind of take a pause in their busy day and benefit from the incredible work that you've done in creating mindfulness-based strengths practice. So we called this session the Mindful Pause, which is borrowing from an actual practice that you developed. And I'm excited for you to just tell everyone what is the mindful pause. And with that, I will take down our lovely screen, and I will invite you to share. Tell us about, hello from New York. Hello, New England. Anna Lucas, so happy you're here. Oh my gosh, one of my classmates. That's amazing. So Ryan, if you would share with us, just start us off. So I borrowed this name, the Mindful Pause, from a practice that you developed, but it is kind of applicable in the midst of a busy day. Can we take a pause to restore? So if you would tell us, what is the Mindful Pause?
Sure. Well, and I just want to say first, just welcome everybody. It's wonderful to have you all here from various places around the world. And it's always such a privilege to be able to bring these universal qualities together of character strengths and mindfulness. And that's what we get to play around with here on our break. So, and thanks, Kelly, for asking me to do it too. Always a yes in that sense with these fun webinars and ways to reach people. So the Mindful Pause is an activity within the Mindfulness-Based Strengths Practice program. So we think of Mindfulness-Based Strengths Practice, or MBSP, as really a wide toolbox for people of resources of bringing mindfulness and character strengths together in meditative form and activity form, and really just living our life more strongly and more meaningfully. And one of those activities is called the Mindful Pause. It's one of the favorites of the program, 5 people, and it comes in around session 6, and this is where, and we might as well practice it right now, right, Kelly? We'll just dive into the experience. So let me just set it up. Really, the Mindful Pause involves 2 steps, and we can do it in as short as something like 10-15 seconds, or we can expand it out to 30 seconds or a minute. And so those 2 steps, I'll first share them with you, and then we can maybe do them together. The first step is to literally pause and to short circuit our autopilot mind. Wherever our mind was wandering off to, or what we were thinking about, or what we've come to this moment with, all the baggage and the projects that we're working on, to come into the moment and just feel our in breath and our out breath for, say, 2 or 3 breaths. And then the second step is we then ask ourselves one question. And in that space where we've just breathed, we ask ourselves the question of, how might I use one of my character strengths right now? Or which of my character strengths might I use right now? Something like that. And we listen to ourselves and we see what pops up. So let's go ahead and practice that together. And then maybe in the chat, you can share a little bit about what came up for you and what character strengths you noticed. Any of the 24 universal qualities of the VIA classification are possible. Okay, so the first step, and with your eyes open or closed, it really doesn't matter. If you want to have your eyes open, you might focus in on some spot in front of you to really lock your attention in, or you might decide to close your eyes. And for this first step, feeling your in-breath and your out-breath. Really trying to be present as the air is flowing. So this means that when you're breathing in, you're aware, this right here is my in-breath. And when you're breathing out, this right here, this is my out-breath. So I am there with it. And your mind wanders away. It starts to think about something else. It moves away from the breath. We gently guide our focus back to the in or the out. And now that you've created a little bit more space within yourself, within that freedom, within that space, posing a question to yourself and see what your brain comes up with. So something like this. Which of my character strengths might I use right now? So from you to you, when you ask yourself that question, what emerges? And it might emerge as a thought. It might emerge as picturing the word in your mind. It might emerge as a symbol or an image, maybe a feeling in your body, maybe a story. And if more than one strength comes up, see what is most strong for you. And that, my friends, is it for the mindful pause. So then you have the choice with whatever strength came up for you. You can decide to use it in some way. Maybe bravery came up for you and there's some kind of message there of speaking up. Maybe gratitude came up for you and you want to share that with somebody in your life, a sense of thankfulness. Maybe curiosity came up for you and you want to explore more with your body and your mind using mindfulness. Maybe fairness came up for you, and that relates to a work project from 2 hours ago, and you want to somehow convey fairness to a person. So any of the 24 are possible. And It's up to us then to notice what's there, what's really strong for us, what's beckoning our attention to be able to be brought forth, and then bringing it forth in your life in some way.
So Ryan, how do you use this practice in your everyday life? How do you lean into the mindful pause? Do you actually think to yourself during the course of the day, okay, I'm going to take a moment and actually do a mindful pause? Is that something that you integrate into your daily routine?
Yeah. So, with something that's this kind of short, and we did it a little bit longer. I mean, again, it could be 10 to 10 seconds if you like, but something this short, but also could be extended, is quite malleable. So I think of the application of it. It can be done strategically, in a planned way, and it can be done spontaneously. So a strategic way would be that whenever perhaps you take a break at work, maybe you have a break where you go to the water cooler or you go grab a coffee or use the restroom, and you do a mindful pause as you do that. You just check in with yourself. Some people pair the mindful pause with other elements of their day, like when they first wake up and what's going on for them, what strength might they want to start with, or maybe the end of the day, or they pair it at meals. So you can be very strategic and planful and structure in of when you want to do it. And then another way is the spontaneous way of using it when it occurs to you to use it, or using it when you really need it. If you're feeling stressed, maybe you had a difficult meeting or something difficult with a client of yours or a family member, and you really need to kind of get a broader perspective of things, then you might just pause. Take those 2 or 3 breaths. Slow down where all the thinking is going. Slowing it down, coming back home to yourself, and then checking in on what strength do I really need right now? And it might surprise you. For me, there's a number of examples because this is a practice that I use regularly, but I pair this oftentimes with when I'm transitioning from work to home, which is difficult for me because I could keep working and working and working. And so when I go from stepping away from this rectangle of my computer to go connect with my 3 little kids, my wife, and so I often will pair the mindful pause with that transition in my day. And so what I do is, as I'm shutting my computer down and about to walk out of the room, I first do a pause, slowing my breath down, checking in with myself, and seeing what strength comes up. What strength do I want to greet them with? What strength do I want to turn to? And not just assuming that I know, but allowing the deeper intuition, the deeper self to arise. And many times the strength that comes up for me is love. And that's actually one of my signature strengths. So people might think, well, yeah, you're always kind of going to be using that, so it's no big deal. But it actually is a big deal, because what happens with the mindful pause then is that my expression of love is more mindful. It's more attentive. It's more deep. It's more genuine than just the typical, oh, yeah, okay, I'll give them a hug. And, how was your day? Oh, good. Yeah. And I'm kind of listening. And maybe I'm 50% there, 50% present, or maybe 60% present. But then with the mindful pause, it's that intentionality of love. Yes. Okay. That's the strength I'm going to go with. And then I bring it forth in a deeper way, a more connecting way. So sometimes it's like that. And it's kind of a strength that's already high for me. And other times I've had my lowest strength come up. If I could tell a quick story, Kelly. So my lowest strength is teamwork. It doesn't mean I don't value teamwork. It doesn't mean that I don't care a lot about it and think about it and try to improve on it. But it kind of speaks more to my individualistic nature of why it might be low. But anyway, so sometimes that has come up in these transition periods in my day, and it surprises me. And the key is to not reject it. It's coming from me, so to trust that there's something important there. So then I'm okay. So let's see how I can maybe bring forth teamwork in some way as I'm greeting my family. And so this one particular day I did that, and I greeted them, and I thought to myself, well, I'm going to bring forth teamwork a little bit. So I asked my wife, who usually immediately kind of goes to do something in the kitchen and cooking because she likes to cook and likes to prepare the food. And I said, can I help you with the food? Can I do something? And rather than just me running down playing with the kids or something. And she said, sure. And so she assigned some tasks to me, and I was doing something, cutting vegetables and, doing different tasks that were at my skill level, which is a low skill level. Um, and, uh, and we had a wonderful connection, wonderful, just discussion during that. And I was helpful. I was a team member in the situation of family. And that then spurred me to do a whole lot more with cooking down the way that I never would have predicted, and making lots of different meals and following these different recipes and so on. So you never know what quite would come up. Again, these are 24 strengths that we all have. So any of them are possible. And it's kind of a fun self-discovery when we bring this throughout our day.
So Ryan, the next question I want to ask you just veers a little bit outside of what we normally talk about, but it circles back to something I feel like you and I talked about this week. We've been talking about the challenge that globally humans are facing with loneliness right now, as well as just this sense of like a lack of connection to others. It doesn't mean you don't have others in your life, but this lack of feeling connected to others. And I almost feel like when you're describing both the intentionality around the strength of love and even the intentionality around the strength of teamwork, because you engaged with each strength differently, you were able to engage with the people in your life more fully. And I wonder if that's part of like the healing that we need so much right now is maybe being fuller, more present in our life through our strengths. I don't know. Does it sound accurate? What are your thoughts on that?
Totally inaccurate. No, 100%. 100%. Yeah, no, it's beautifully said. And yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I hadn't thought about how both those examples are about connecting. So it's a great thematic kind of pickup by you. We could kind of boil it down to 3 words that this mindful pause is about: breathe, remember, connect. And so obviously we're breathing, and this breath that we have that we often forget that we have, and we're lost in taking life for granted mode. It helps us to come back to ourselves and to see the richness of life. So that breath is so key. So breathe. And then remember refers to the reality that we have these 24 strengths to turn to. So to remember that, it's so easy to forget that and go through life pretty mindlessly to our best qualities, and to not bring our best qualities to all these different situations we're in. So remember, we have these 24. And then the third piece is the connect element that you're picking up on. And the connect can be lots of different things. It could be connecting with oneself. It could be connecting your mind and body, which often we're going about our day disconnected from our mind and body, disconnected because our mind is off somewhere else. But then also this idea of connecting outside of ourselves with other people, and that probably many of the strengths that will come up for people during the mindful pause will indeed be about connecting with somebody else, whether it's on your team or in your family, or making a phone call to your mother or to your child, in that sense. So, yeah.
Wonderful. I love it. I'm going to ask the next question, and then I'll just tee up Sarah. Sarah might want to get in a word edgewise because she's helping us out with everything else. So I'll go ahead and so Lynn put in the chat, breathe, remember, connect. Yeah. Okay. So as you think about the mindful pause, how do you feel that sharing this with others helps them in their own lives? How do you feel? I mean, and that's probably a fraction of what you do in your larger mindfulness-based strengths practice, your actual 8-week program that you offer. But how do you feel this helps others?
Yeah. No, it's a great question. And well, it first of all, it empowers, I believe. It empowers people to feel like they've got another tool, they've got another strategy that they can use. And because of that malleability, they can bring it forth during the most difficult of times. I think the mindful pause we've now taught hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of people this practice, and heard feedback from so many people around the world on it. And what people seem to say is that they use it with their clients quite regularly when the clients are struggling. So I think the immediate piece is at times of stress, when we're feeling overwhelmed and we really need something to give us just a little, get our head above water again, that we can take, anybody can take 10 seconds. If sometimes it's hard to say, I'm going to take 20 minutes to do mindful walking or eat my meal really slowly, or do a yoga practice. People struggle with 10-minute here, 20-minute here, but nobody on the planet should struggle with 10 seconds. So we can certainly do that, and we can do that at these various moments. I remember during the COVID period, and we talked a lot about the mindful pause. And some people were so overwhelmed with all the things they were trying to juggle in their life, they would do the mindful pause when they would go to the restroom. Like that was the only time they could really find, or at least they thought they could find. So they would step away, and they have to go to the restroom, right? And then they would do a mindful pause before using the restroom or while in the restroom, and then coming out a little bit more refreshed, a little bit more ready to face the stress again in their day. I've used it a lot at certainly in my last place of work as well, at during difficult team meetings, and I would just kind of quietly turn my attention to my breathing, turn my attention to my best qualities, something I might bring forth in that moment, and it would help me to feel like I had a little bit more control of the situation. I would feel a little bit less discomfort or anxiety in those situations. So I think with adversity and stress is a big empowerment piece with this particular practice. But I hope people use it for what you and I were just talking about, Kelly, that people use it to connect more with others, with themselves, and with the beauty around them. Oh, Kelly, I think you're muted.
Someone just put in the chat, micro pose in a restroom. I think that's really neat. Yeah. I guess taking a moment to recompose. Maybe that's micro and recomposure in the restroom, I guess. Sarah, what question do you have for Ryan?
Well, I was just going to comment on the mindful pause, giving us more space to take on the rest of our day. So it makes it more accessible. And I think that's something we talked a lot about in MBSP. So I guess maybe a note on the accessibility of mindfulness, and knowing that it doesn't have to be a huge chunk of your day to get back to the present moment, was just something I wanted to add.
That's beautiful. Yeah. And thanks for saying that, actually, because I can maybe make a comment on one of the words you said, which is so important, of space. And I think of the way that Thich Nhat Hanh, the Zen master, has often framed space is that all of life really needs more space. That so if we think about our we're making a flower arrangement, we can't confine the flowers too tightly, or they won't grow, or they won't thrive, they won't be beautiful. The flowers need space. If we're planting outside, or if we're planting trees like I was a few years ago, they had to have a certain amount of space in between them for the roots to grow. If we corner an animal in the wild, it's going to lash out in some way or flee. The animal needs more space. Human beings need more space to be able to be themselves and to not be feel like they're crowded upon. Our mind needs space in terms of we get all sorts of thoughts going on, and we need some space to be able to clear a little bit or to let go. Our emotions need space, the difficult emotions, the positive emotions. So I really love that word to describe all of life. And so you're absolutely right that this work is about creating more space inside of ourselves. Yeah, thank you.
Someone on Facebook just said that's a brilliant analogy. So they really appreciated that. So as we just have a few minutes left, Ryan, let's see. I guess another I keep coming back to just this piece around fullness and wholeness and well-being. Okay, so Cheryl is asking, could you also choose a specific strength and then take a mindful pause before engaging in a difficult task? So like if you reverse the order just a little bit, could you choose a strength and then you kind of take this mindful pause before engaging in a difficult task?
Yeah, absolutely. That would, where you choose one of your signature strengths, or you choose a strength that you're trying to develop and trying to work on, or a strength maybe that you're trying to understand better in yourself. Um, and then pausing with it with the breath. We do something like that, not in a pause situation, but in MBSP we have an activity called the pure strengths meditation or strengths exploration, where we do just that. We take more time, but you could certainly do it briefly as well, where you sit with that strength that you want to understand a little bit better or that you want to grow, and you kind of have it there in your consciousness, and then you come back to your breathing with it, and see where the mind goes, and see what you learned from that strength, see what stories come up, what it brings up in a feeling level for you. And yeah, so much to discover there. That's a great practice and a great way, something you can really journal with and really go to great lengths with, in terms of deepening your work with that strength. So thanks for offering that twist, that reversal. We'll call it a reversal. Thank you for that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'll get in one last question. When I experience the mindful pause, so I love the slowed breathing in the beginning. I'm always massively grateful for any cue that gets me to just slow down, because I've got one of those hamster things going on in my brain. But then when you shift to the strengths, like if I've really been able to slow down and pause a bit, and then I shift to a strength, I experience an energy shift. And I would love for you to just talk about that. Like I mean, it's like visceral. I notice it. And I've been really impressed by this like 1-2 combo that you've put together, where I can achieve a state of like, oh yeah, that's me when I'm calm. I like her. I get to go to her, and then I get to shift into a strength. What's happening there, and why do I feel that energy in that way?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It is, and it's a great analogy as well to say it's a 1-2 combo in that sense, or step one, step two, or it's the first door opening up to a whole hallway of doors, a whole hallway of possibilities. But we got to take that first doorway of awareness or mindfulness. So yeah, I mean, and mindfulness can be calming. It's certainly the focus is to generate awareness. It could be calming. It could be peace generating. Could be connecting, all sorts of kind of energies with that. But a lot of times people do feel that sense of a calming energy. And I'm speaking now for not just any practice that we would talk about, but also with this space, but also in MBSP groups. So the mindfulness-based strengths practice groups, people will comment like you did, Kelly, on the different energies. Like when we're practicing say a 10-minute mindfulness practice, there is that slowing down, right? Almost by definition, we're slowing down. We're attempting to slow down our mind as well and just make some self-discoveries. But then the character strengths is naturally focusing on a character strength is naturally energizing, naturally zest-inducing. So it is a different energy, and it's interesting how well these two energies go together. The calming energy, which often is with mindfulness, but not a guarantee. But then the energy of strengths, and that we can use both of those energies for this work, and for boosting more well-being, for managing stress. We certainly have found over and over again with workshop participants that when people start to talk about their strengths, they start to talk about something that's good within them, or good about somebody else, and they're pointing it out in somebody else, it is naturally energizing. When we do workshops, that we start to do that, and the roof blows off the ceiling, because the energy is so strong when people start to talk about their character strengths. So that happens certainly in the MBSP groups as well. So it's really beautiful, kind of like a wave, to just kind of the ebb and flow of these different energies, and again, how they go together. They're all part of the same wave, so they're just at different points in it. And yeah, thanks for observing that.
Yeah, we're a little over time, so I think we'll move into wrap up. I'll just note there's a couple comments here, and I'll just read them out loud. One says, focusing on a character strengths helps us to sense a direction / values, activating hope, instilling. I think I know I think I know what they're trying to get at. And then there's another comment here. There's such a paradox in that we are bombarded by so many tasks and information. And at the same time, we need space for being intentional and building valuable things. Yeah, that's so true with our work, right? Because you just don't want your work to move into a reactive space. Because email is all about like reactive. And so we can move into this reactive, but then we're not creating things of true value. I think that's a great point too. So Ryan, I just want to create a moment for you if you want to do any parting thoughts, or if there's a parting practice or a way you'd like to close out our time together here.
Go back to the mindful pause, right? So as a conclusion, so perhaps we just, coming back to, with your eyes open or closed, come back to, let's say, 2 in-breaths and out-breaths. Really trying to be there as best you can for your in-breath and out-breath. And then posing the question to yourself within this space of, which of my character strengths might I bring forth right now? And open to what comes up for you, and bringing that forth into your life in some way, bringing it forth in your thinking, bringing it forth in your words, bringing it forth in the actions that you take in the next hour.
Wonderful. Ryan, thank you so much. This was just a wonderful way to spend a few minutes. And we just got a warm thanks from Elaine O'Brien, who I know you know. So thank you, Elaine. And thank you, everybody who took a minute out of your day. Ryan, thank you for squeezing this into your day. I think it is a lovely.
Thank you for the wonderful thing. Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, it's beautiful. Worked out well.
Okay, everybody.
Thanks to you both.
We'll see you soon. Thank you. Bye.
See you all again.